So last 3 or 4 years since I started my agency, it's done around $4 million in revenue, with a large sum of that being in the last 12 to 24 months. And I want to break down for you all of the key lessons that I've learned and segment them into 2 core buckets: mental shifts and beliefs, the shit that I wish I knew on that side of the fence, the woo-woo stuff that some people like, some people don't. If you don't like it, skip it. It doesn't matter, because what we're also going to go through is the practical shit. The shit that I wish I knew when I was at 20, 30, 40, 50, even 100k a month, that I wish I knew then instead of now, that would have got me there way fucking quicker. So that being said, why do I actually make these videos? For the people that are watching here, the only thing we talk about is how to scale and growing an agency consistently. Now, for a bit of social proof, my agency does $3 million a year right now at 19. I've documented everything. Just scroll down my YouTube, and I've helped over 10 people and counting get to 6 figures a month. My agency, Pinpoint Scaling, has over 54 reviews on Trustpilot. Google it, look it up, check out the website. It's real. And here's my last 6 month stats, just so you know I'm not full of shit. These are a little bit out of date, but you get the point. We've been doing consistent 6-figure months for a long time now. Now, what I've also got is I've got License and Scale, which is my consulting business that helps other agencies grow by licensing all of the systems in my agency. We've got 31 5-star reviews, 0 bad reviews, which shows I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And you can see here on my YouTube, just scroll down, a bunch of different social proof. Now, 3 reasons I make these videos: status, everybody has a human desire for self-importance. This is how I channel mine. Network, I want to meet with cool people and do cool shit. And number 3, so you work with me and pay me money and join my program. Okay, so that being said, we're going to start with the mental shifts, and then we're going to go into the practical shit. So when it comes to the mental shifts and beliefs that I wish I knew, first one is ownership. At each level, I realized the more and more money that I made, the more I needed to put my ego aside and just simply be okay with the fact that every single fuck up, mistake, no matter what happens in the business, is all my fault, and everything in my life is my fault. And let me just expand on this, and this is the way this is going to go, by the way. I have my bullet points here that I've put down, and then I'm going to expand and give a story that drives this point home and the reason why this is important. What I found is, the more money that I made, and the more that I grew as an individual, the more I had an ability to take ownership, and the more my ability to be aware of the fact that nobody on this fucking planet takes ownership became more prevalent. Now, what I mean by that is, if you look at most people on this planet, they think the world is against them, everybody hates me. Oh, if I have another example in the business perspective, because you might think, oh yeah, those people are bums, but even people thinking like, oh, I have a team member that's shit and I need to fire them and it's all their fault. The more I grew, and the more I started blaming other things, the more I realized blaming other people and blaming external circumstances and outcomes does not serve you whatsoever. I'll tell you what does serve you: taking ownership for every single thing in the business and in your life, regardless of if you control it or not. Because at the end of the day, if you make a shit hire and they fuck you over, that's on you. If you make a shit hire and they screw a client over and that client sues you, that's on you. You made the hire. You should have picked up on the red flags early. You should have let them go sooner. Everything is your fault. Now, the dynamic here that you've got to be okay with balancing is, there's going to be a balance here where your close friends and your family are going to hate you for this. And what I mean by that is, I've realized that the more money that I make and the more that I grow, unintentionally, the more of a dickhead I become. Because I am so self-aware now, or I would like to at least think I am, where I immediately know, or I already know what my limiting beliefs are. And the minute that I have a conversation with somebody, within the span of 10, 20, 30 minutes, unconsciously, without even doing it, judgmentally, I can pick up on somebody's limiting beliefs. So if somebody says to me like, oh yeah, you know, I'm working on getting in shape, I'm just not disciplined enough, I can immediately pick up on limiting belief. This person thinks that the discipline comes first, and that's just something that somebody has, instead of somebody being able to build that skill through consistency or that character trait. So there's pros and cons to that, but I just thought I would mention this point, because the sooner that you can take full responsibility for everything in your business and your life, the further you will grow. Like, if anybody ever fucks me over, if I ever have anything terrible happen in my life, in my business, I only blame myself. And yes, is there some grey areas to this? Absolutely. Like, if somebody passes away in my family, I'm not like, oh, this is all my fault, I hate my life. I'm not doing that. But you get the principle. If you take control and ownership of everything in your life, there's no net downside. There's so much downside to blaming things on external circumstances, because you can't fucking do anything about it. So the solution is, just start taking ownership for your life in every endeavor and every business adventure that you decide to take on. Second thing is eating shit. I knew building an agency was going to be hard, but I didn't realize how hard. You might have seen this, if I pull this up, Uninformed Optimism Cycle of Business, or like Stages of Business, I believe it's called. I think Hormozi made this popular initially. But like, it talks about this, where there's like the emotional cycle of change. And I wish that I had the opportunity to fully understand what this was before I started the agency. When you go into any new business model, you have uninformed optimism. which means you think it's going to be a lot easier than it actually is. If you think about when you first started an agency, what happens? You're sold on a dream by the gurus online, like whatever business model it is, copywriting, AI, whatever your business model is, the people that sell you the program on how to get into that model do a really good job at making it seem easy. And that's intentional, obviously. They want to make it seem easy so you buy their thing, right? So that being said, you come into a new business with uninformed optimism, and then you very gradually realize, holy shit, this is hard. And then you move to stage 2 of informed pessimism, which is like, this is going to take a lot longer and it's going to be a lot harder than I thought it was. Stage 3 is a valley of despair, which is where majority of people quit. Most people quit between stages 2 and 4. Informed pessimism, valley of despair, and informed optimism. This is where you've worked your ass off a little bit, but then you realize, holy shit, this is going to be a lot more work than I thought it was. And this is where most people just go back up to stage 1 and they will get sold on a new business model and then they'll start again. And the thing is with experience and knowledge and acquiring skills is it's very domain specific. So I can spend 6 months serving med spas and getting really good, knowing how to solve med spa problems. But the minute that I decide, oh, this is too hard, I'm going to pivot to a different industry, yes, I'm still going to translate some of those skills to that industry. But in a way, I'm starting from ground zero again. So this is why people talk about like knowledge and skill sets compounding. And if you can just stick in the same vehicle, obviously make sure that you pick the right vehicle. But if you can stick in the right vehicle for an unreasonable amount of time, it would be unreasonable for you not to get to 6-7 figures a month. Okay. But the bottom line here is I wish that I knew when I started how long it would take. I think I would have came in with better expectations. But at the same time, I'm also grateful that I didn't know. And you should be grateful too if you don't realize how hard it's going to be to get to 6-7 figures a month. It definitely didn't have to be as hard as I made it. Like and this sounds like I'm pitching my product, but if I wish I just went to somebody that had already done what I did and just paid them money for like everything, their front end, their back end. I paid for some programs that solved little problems here and there, but if there was like a conglomerate person where it's like, oh, they're already at 200k a month, 300k a month, I want to get there, let me pay that person to solve all my problems. I think it would have helped me get there a lot quicker. And that sounds like a fucking pitch. It kind of is. But that's just what I wish I would have done sooner rather than later. Because I did do that eventually. I just didn't do it quick enough. Okay. Rewiring my definition of growth. This is a really big one. So when I was growing the agency, I always thought my biggest periods of growth was when I had tangible growth. So what I mean is like, oh, I scaled from 10k a month to 50k a month, or when I hit 100k a month. I think that's the easiest part. And it's the furthest from the truth, because the thing is, that's just the quantifiable growth. The hard thing to measure is the intangibles, the unquantifiable growth. You know, the months where you sit back and you hire people, you build the team, you build the operations, you build out a new SOP boot camp for your team. Those things suck because you don't get immediate gratification for it. You get immediate gratification when you're selling and you're ripping ads and you're fucking pushing paid in fulls. As I was growing, the more that I grew, the more that I had to realize that the real growth is when I'm taking one step back to take 5 steps forward, when I'm rebuilding systems, rebuilding the team, hiring new people, the operations, the back end, figuring out what it had to take to get to the next level, because business really serves, and any like big goal you want to achieve in your life, they usually serve off lagging indicators, which means the work that you put in now, you're going to bear the result of that work in 6 to 12 months time. So an example of that would be when I hit my first 100k month, 3 months before we actually hit that month, I spent 3 months rebuilding our back end, rebuilding our systems, rebuilding our team, rehiring salespeople, rebuilding our boot camps. And then that month that we hit 100k, it wasn't like, oh, this is such a big surprise. Like a lot of the time when you hit the number, you already know you're going to hit the number because you've already done the work to get there beforehand. And that's where I had to really rewire my definition of growth and be okay with taking 1 step back to take 5 steps forward. Don't misconstrue that for me saying, oh, turn your sales machine off and focus on back end. I'm not saying that. If anything, you always want to keep the sales machine on, but just keep in mind that those months where you might not make as much tangible growth, you are growing. It's just serving on the law of lagging indicators, which means you're only going to see the result of that growth in 3, 6, 12 months time. Fourth thing, spend more money. When I was first starting out, I spent nothing because obviously I had no money, right? I had about 10k set aside like 3-4 months into the agency because I made some money with the agency. I was doing copywriting beforehand and things like that. Now that being said, I wish I spent more of that because I was penny pinching and holding every single penny that I had tight to my chest when what I should have been doing is spending every fucking dollar I had on 3 things. Upskilling myself, mentors, books, podcasts. Number 2, into paid ads to make more money, being able to figure out how to put $1 in and get $5 out, and delegating low leverage shit, cleaning, cooking, email. The sooner you can get rid of that shit, the more money you will make, okay? If you can focus your time and attention on your zone of genius, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Like the way that I got into investing into mentors, coaches, things like that, was I posted a YouTube video that kind of blew up, which was me doing a sales call. And I got a lot of people DMing me and reaching out. I made a Discord group and somebody DM'd me and said, hey, I want to give you a login to this program. I think you'll get a lot of value from it. And at the time, I had this limiting belief that was like clouding my judgment of investing. It was like, everybody that sells a course is a scam. Everybody's full of shit. So anyway, he gave me a login and I would sit in the back of these calls with no camera on because I was scared of like, shit, what if they find out I haven't paid for it? I would come off those calls and learn so fucking much until I got to a point where I was like, I'm sick of just sitting here and listening. I want to be able to ask questions, right? Because you only get so much from getting a login to a program, whether we like it or not. So then when I invested in it, it was like the best thing I ever did. Got to 10K a month within the span of 90 days. And then I did it again to get to 20, 30, 40, 50, 100. And then at each new level, I just made this rule for myself where it's like, I'm going to spend a set amount of the profit that I make into upskilling myself. Second thing is paid ads, no brainer. If you don't already know, paid ads are the best way to scale your agency, hands down, when it comes to acquiring new clients, if you can do it in the right way. So I wish I put more money into ads to acquire more clients quicker. And then third thing, delegating low leverage shit. One of the things that I'm incredibly grateful for is I've always been a pretty lazy individual when it came to household tasks. So what I mean by that is my mum would usually cook a lot of my food, clean my clothes, wash my dishes. And although that didn't serve me, and a lot of people would say, oh, you're lazy, you need to stop being babysat and things like that, I'm incredibly grateful for that because I've never known how to really do it correctly. And that made me want to delegate it. I heard this quote a while ago. I think it was from Tom Bilyeu, who's actually a billionaire now. And he basically broke down that it's actually better not even to learn those things. Because when you get good at something, you want to do it, right? So like, I'm so happy I'm not good at cleaning. I'm not good at cooking. I'm not good at ironing clothes. And quite frankly, I don't want to be. Because what is that? That is a $5 to $10 an hour task that I can immediately delegate. So now wherever I go, say I'm traveling, say I'm at home, I will immediately just go and find somebody and pay them to solve those problems. I'll hire a cleaner. I'll hire a chef, whatever that may be. I'll get meal prep because it's low leverage for me. I should be spending majority of my time in my zone of genius. Fifth thing, take all the fucking risk. Take more risk and stop being a bitch. If you go broke, you're not going to die. Because this is the thing. Your brain is, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in evolution, I support both. I'm kind of on both sides of the spectrum here. And I don't want to get into all this fucking back and forth on all this stuff anyway. But that being said, the reason I bring this up is because if we think about this through the lens of evolution, whether you believe in it or not, the human brain is operated and built for survival. And the people that didn't evolve, didn't grow in the past, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, would have died. If we think about it like the people that didn't find new ways to find food, reproduce, find water, stay warm overnight, they would die. So that means your brain is very, very good at finding problems and thinking about worst case scenario. Now, the thing is, as the Earth has developed, humans have got comfortable, we have access to more resources. Majority of people have the internet, they have phones, they have a warm house, they have AC, they have all of these things that we would have never had hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. The brain isn't conditioned to change based on the new environment that it's in, which means the brain is always thinking about worst case scenario. I'm like, oh my God, what if this goes terribly wrong and I die? Just rationalize your thoughts. And this is what I encourage you to do. I do this a lot. I sit with my thoughts when I'm thinking about bad things that can happen. I'm getting stressed, I'm getting anxious, and I'll sit and rationalize it. And what I mean by rationalize it is I'll break it down. So like, what I mean by take all the fucking risk is, let's say you've got 20K in your bank account right now. You're spending $200, $300 a day on ads to acquire clients. Just put it up to like $500, $600, $700 a day. And you might be thinking like, oh my God, but I would lose all my money. So let's break this down. So rationalize it. If you spend $700 a day for 30 days, you spend 21K, which means you're going to spend majority of the money that you have. Now, do you think that if you get 10 days into that, so you spend 7K and you sign no clients, are you going to keep those ads on? Of course you're fucking not. And do you really think you're going to go 30 days with signing no clients? And that's factoring in you making no income, right? But you probably already have MRR coming in at this stage if you're spending $700 a day on ads. So that's what I mean by take more risks, be ballsy, throw more tests at the wall. You're still going to live. You're still going to breathe. You're not going to die. You're going to be completely fine, okay? Piece number 6, everyone you admire has no clue either. When I started spending a shit ton of money on in-person masterminds, the biggest takeaway I got was that the people I put on a pedestal were no different. And they still have no clue what the fuck they're doing. And they're still figuring it out as much as I am. You might look at me and put me on a pedestal and be like, oh man, I wish I could make the amount of money that Cameron makes. I wish that I could have an agency. I wish I could travel the world. I wish I could have an audience. I still have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. You've got to remember, nobody does. Everybody is still figuring it the fuck out as much as you are. It's just on a new level. Like, this YouTube video is simply a test. This format of YouTube video is a test. This way of showing social proof on a video is a test. You've got to treat your life and your business like a science project. And again, I'm hosting a mastermind in August 1st to 5th. We've got 33 different 6- and 7-figure agency owners that are all coming to Mykonos for a 5-day mastermind. And I've told all of them, the biggest thing that you're going to get from the event is the network. And the biggest thing you're also going to get is realizing that I am no different to you. And the people making more money than you are no different to you. So if you get the opportunity to go to a mastermind, you'll realize this. Like, everybody that you look up to has no idea what you're doing either. And that should be liberating. It's like, oh, great. So there is room for failure. I am no different to that person. I'm completely fine. And another thing, which is a very controversial statement, but I'm going to say it anyway because I believe it. If I can go to masterminds and meet people that are doing millions of dollars every single month and they're overweight, they can't even control the one discipline, which is the underlying foundation of their life, which is their health, why the fuck can't I do it? So it also like redefines the standard in your own mind of like, if this guy can do it, who's overweight, who has really bad habits, who just got this one domain of his life right, and I've got all of my domains of my life right, there is zero reason why I can't do it too. Number 7, the more wins, the easier it gets. The more momentum you have, the easier life gets, and the more money you will make. Now, let me break this down for you. When you win in life, it creates proof in your mind. This is what we call an undeniable stack of proof. You might have heard of Hormozi talk about it, right? You don't get rich, you don't get what you want by shouting affirmations in the mirror, you get it by building an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are. So when you win, it creates proof. That proof is then looked back on by the mind whenever you set a new goal. So if you think about it, right? If you don't make any money right now and you're like, I'm going to make 10K a month, you're probably thinking about that and you're like, oh, I don't think I can do it. There's a lot of limiting beliefs coming up. Why is that? Because you have no past proof for your mind to look back on and go, oh, he's already done this before. This is good. Now, I'll give you another example of this. In my life, my North Star goal right now is to get to $1 million a month. Now, I look back on evidence and I can see I said I would make 5K a month. I did it. I said I would make 10K. I said I would make 100K. I said I would make 200K. I said I would make 300K. I said I would make 400K a month. I did it. So I just look back on the proof that I have and I go, this is fucking easy. I've already done it. I'm already there in the mind before I'm there. If you've heard of the definition of manifestation, manifestation is shifting internally to a degree in which you are no longer emotionally dependent on seeing reality change to get what you want. And what that means, just condensed down on a micro level, is you already have what you want before you have it. You have it here, and then it translates into physical reality. I already had this following before I had it. I already had 100K a month before I had it. I already had the info product that I've got now before I had it. And I already have $1 million a month and the world's #1 info product before I've already got it. And the only way that I do that is because I have momentum. And the more wins that I get, the easier it gets, the more proof that I have, okay? So the bottom line is here, the cool thing is about setting goals is the more times you say you hit a goal and you hit it, the more times you keep the promises to yourself, you say you're going to go to the gym and you do it, the more delusional you get in your ability to achieve outlandish goals. And you've got to start small and scale big. It's like a ball rolling down a hill. The momentum only gets faster the further down the hill it gets, okay? So the key takeaway here is start small and just understand that it's never going to be harder than today because it only gets easier because the more momentum you have, the easier it gets because the more proof you have to rely on. And a lot of the things that I do and a lot of the money that I make and a lot of the goals that I hit, it all relies on the belief systems that I have because I already know that I can do it before I've got it. Like there is zero things on this planet where I'm like, I can't do that. Me 3-4 years ago, this is a complete side note, but it's relevant, was shit scared of heights. Like if somebody asked me, do you want to go skydiving? Would you do it for $1 million? I would have said, hell no. I'd rather die than go skydiving. I swear to God, I hated it. And I had to become a new person and realize that, oh, this is just a limiting belief. I have to remove that belief. And then when I do the things that scare me more and more, the easier those things get. So this also translates in other domains of your life too. The more things that you do that scare you, the easier overcoming your fears get as well, because you realize, oh, this is just a mental block. My mind is thinking about worst case scenario. I need to rationalize the worst case scenario and dumb it down exactly like I'm talking about with your goals. And when you take risks and you realize it's not that bad. Like for me, when I booked skydiving, I had to rationalize it. I was like, what's worst case scenario? I die. Okay. And what happens if I die? Nothing, because you'll be dead and it'll be instant. Okay, great. So worst case scenario actually isn't all that bad. Right? So sometimes just rationalizing the worst case scenario can really help, especially when you're scared of something, when you're wanting to take a risk that you don't want to take, or when you're trying to set a goal that seems unrealistic to you. Wealth is nothing without health. Eat clean food, train hard, and treat your life like a science project and track your life like you track the numbers in your business. And again, my beliefs are very strong. You don't need to hold these beliefs. It's just a belief I have. I do not respect people that make a lot of money but are overweight and look shit and feel shit, because I know that health is wealth. And I don't really see success as somebody that makes a lot of money but that doesn't have a really good physique or is in at least decent shape. There's 5 pillars of a good life: health, wealth, love, relationships, happiness. Now, you shouldn't focus on all of them at once, because your energy and attention is like a lighthouse. And it's like, you think about a lighthouse where if it was trying to light up everything in its vicinity, nothing would be light. But the reason that a lighthouse is so powerful is because it can channel all of its light, all of its energy in one centralized place. It has the ability with that to make one specific area very bright. This ties directly into the quote, attention goes where energy flows. And the more energy you allocate to a specific focus in your life, the more that specific part of your life is going to grow. Okay. So what I mean by treat your life like a science project is test new things and figure out what works for you. I've tested so many different diets. I've tested carnivore. I haven't tested vegan. I'm never going to test vegan. I'm sorry, vegans, but it's just not for me. I've tested just fruit and meat. I've tested having carbs as well. I've tested fasting all day, doing OMAD. I've tested doing coffee until lunch. I've tested every diet you can imagine. And the thing that I've realized is everybody has their own ways of doing things. So you've just got to find out what works for you. I've also done the same with waking up times, going to sleep times, my morning routines, my evening routines. I test things all the time to see what works. I tested reading in the morning before work, and then I tested getting rid of that and just going immediately into work, no morning routine. And then I tested having an hour morning routine. And then I tested visualizing for an hour before work and an hour at night. Like, all of these things I've tested, and the only way you're going to know what works for you is by testing. Okay, and then as well, when it comes to tracking, I've got an Oura Ring. I would recommend it to anybody here, or you can get a Whoop band, because it tells me about my sleep, my stress levels. It tells me about my step count, things like that. I track things religiously. You might have already seen from some of my videos, I have a lot of different tracking systems and sheets for my personal life as well as the business too. Like, to give you an example of this is a habit tracker that I use. I have a daily reflection log like this where I put in all of my statistics. I have a nutrition log, a weekly time audit, and a monthly life dashboard. That's an example of what I mean by track your numbers, track your life like you track your business, right? Because you would never not track your cost per acquisition, your show-up rate. You would never not track your churn rate, right? Unless you're an idiot. In that case, you need tracking systems. Why not do it for your life? Because your life and your health is more important than that, right? Because the business ultimately lies on the foundation of your health and your life. Because if your health isn't there, that table falls, then everything else in your life comes with it. Number 9, you do not get what you want, you get what you deserve. It's easy to tell people what you want to achieve and your amazing business plan to achieve it. What's not easy is actually doing the damn thing and doing the things behind the work, behind the curtain that nobody else sees, that actually gets you there. It's so easy to tell people what you want to do. And there was actually a study that showed that you release as much dopamine telling people about your big goals, visions, and dreams and plans, as much dopamine as if you actually hit the goal in the first place. So, rule of thumb for me, and this is really hard for me because I love talking about my goals because it releases dopamine, it gets me excited about them, and I want to hear what other people think because I like getting validation. Number 1 law of human nature is people want to feel self-important. They want to feel like they have a level of purpose on this planet, and that feeds that purpose. But that being said, the rule of thumb here is the things that get done behind the curtain are the things that matter. I didn't get here today, where my agency is, where my life is, being able to provide for my family. And for context, tomorrow I'm literally going on a family vacation, all paid for, which was a 5-figure vacation. We're going with 6 or 7 family members. I paid for it all. I didn't get to have the privilege of being able to do that without first sacrificing. You get in life what you deserve. You don't get in life what you want. And then the final thing on the mindset woo-woo shit is your environment is everything. I've been in Dubai, Spain, London. I've been floating all over the place over the last 3, 4, 5 months. And I came home for the first time. And I love being at home. But one thing that I've noticed is when you're in an environment where people know the old you, it's very easy to fall into bad habits. And what I mean by that is when people know the old you who used to maybe smoke, drink, party, and you come back home or you live at home and you're trying to shift into a new you that doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't party and just works and provides for his family and acts out of a place of integrity and is disciplined and acts completely different, maybe even talks and communicates in a different way. If you go back to my old videos 3 years ago, you will notice the way that I communicate, the language that I use is completely different. Like, people pick up on that shit. I went to Canada for 2-3 months and I came back home and I saw some old friends that I haven't seen in a year and they genuinely thought I was putting on an accent. They were like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, this is just the way that I talk. I was talking normally, but I didn't realize how much I changed in that period. But if you've heard of the crab in a bucket analogy, when one crab is trying to climb out of the bucket, meaning you trying to get better than your friends, when you get better, it makes your friends seem worse because there is a bigger gap, right? So they want to pull you down back to their level. And that's just normal. And that's the reality of it. Like, as you grow, you're going to need to get new friends. You are going to shed friends at new seasons in your life. That's just how it is. And the best way to grow, in my personal opinion, is to go into a new environment. Because when you go into a new environment, you move town, you move city, you move location. The cool thing is you get to decide who the hell you want to be. You can't just start acting like a completely new person in front of old people. I mean, you can, but they're going to be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Is he a nut job? Like, it's just certainly a lot easier to go somewhere new. For context, when I started really taking my business seriously, I moved to a new town with nobody in complete isolation for a few months. And it was probably one of the best things I did, because I got to create who I wanted to create and be whoever the hell I wanted to be, and nobody was judging me, okay? So I know that was a lot of info, but that's mental shifts and beliefs. Now let's get into the practical shit. So first thing is I encourage you to document everything. The best thing I ever did in my life was document, or the best business decision that I ever made was documenting everything in my life on YouTube. And you can go and scroll through if you're new to my channel. If you're not, you can see that I've documented everything over the last 3-4 years. And it's brought so many lifelong friends. I've got some of the best team members in my agency from there, money. Everything in my life has benefited from documenting everything. And that is why I still truly believe that personal brand is one of the most powerful tools that you can have in your tool belt, because it builds network, you get killer team members, money. Like, I wouldn't have been able to monetize this channel if it wasn't for that as well, and if it wasn't for me providing value. And even though I've got a very micro channel, I would actually prefer to have a micro channel than a huge big channel like, say, E-Man as an example, but it's just lifestyle. Now, that being said, I think that's important for top of funnel awareness, but if we're thinking about building a micro niche channel, like if you serve remodelers, if you serve solar companies, if you serve coaches, make a micro channel solving their problems. Because I know, for context, I went for dinner with a guy in Dubai that had 1 million subscribers, and I made 10, 20x amount of money that he made, all because he had entertaining videos that had top of funnel awareness, but he didn't solve any specific problems. My rule of thumb when I'm making videos is I want to solve rich people problems, and I want to resonate with people who can already afford to pay me multi 4 or 5 figures, okay? So I would encourage you to do the same thing, but at the same time, even if you don't want to sell anything to the audience that you're going to sell to, document everything on YouTube. You can see that I've done this with my accountability videos, with my YouTube videos on setting goals and achieving them. One of the best things I ever did, and I would encourage you to do the same thing, because not only does it give you external accountability, it gives you huge social proof. When people say, oh, he's full of shit, he's never done this, he's lying, well, just look back on my channel, right? It's very easy. Undeniable stack of proof. Number 2, spend 3 to 4 hours a day becoming a master marketer. When you run an agency, you need to understand what game you're in. You're in the sales and marketing business, okay? Which means you must become a master at sales and a master at marketing. So you should be blocking off 3-4 hours a day, spending as much time as possible learning or executing sales and marketing. Learning about how to run better paid ads, how to run lead magnet funnels, webinar funnels, whatever that may be in your business specifically. Sales, review your sales calls, watch sales trainings, take sales calls. That's going to be the best thing, actually implementing. Launching paid ads, testing funnels, testing ads, looking at what other people are doing all the time. A book that I would recommend on this is Great Leads and Breakthrough Advertising. Incredible books on learning marketing and sales. Number 3, obsess over the product. And this principle applies not only in the agency, but in every domain of wherever you want to improve. Wherever you obsess over, wherever your attention goes, energy flows, which is in turn going to improve that domain of your life, okay? Gather feedback at every client touch point. After the onboarding call, your check-in call, be fucking obsessed with your customer experience, okay? For example, for us, after an onboarding call with a client, we ask for feedback. After a check-in call with a client, we ask for feedback. When a client churns, we ask for feedback. This is what we call NPS surveys, Net Promoter Scores, and CSAT surveys, Client Satisfaction Surveys. Then you can gather that data, look at it every single week, every single month, and look at it through the lens of, how do I make this a 10 out of 10 every single time, to the point where somebody jumps on an onboarding call and they're like, holy shit, this was amazing. I've also been doing this in License and Scale too. And the people in there that are watching this, you've already seen this. Every month I send out an NPS survey and I'm like, be as brutal as possible. How do you find the program? How do you find the program? How do you find the program? We've got an average NPS survey score right now of like 9.5, which is absolutely incredible. And we have a question in there saying like, how have you found this compared to any other program? And it's like, it's the best by far, it's decent, it's crap. And everybody, without fail, has put it's the best by far, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But that being said, there's still so much feedback that we're getting that we need to improve. So many new things that we're building and rolling out. But be obsessed with the customer experience. Number 4, hire a PA ASAP. Hire a personal assistant as soon as possible. The minute you're making $5K a month, hire a personal assistant for $6, $7, $8, $1,000 a month. Hire them, okay? You should not be spending time on sub $10 an hour tasks that somebody else can do for you. It is the highest ROI thing you will ever do. I hired my personal assistant when I was making around 40 to 50K a month. I wish I hired it sooner. Best thing I ever did. Manages all my emails, responds to clients for me, responds to team members for me, everything. Books flights, hotels, organizes accommodation. Basically, my personal assistant, I'm running a 5-day mastermind in Mykonos, I mentioned it earlier. She planned everything. I've seen how much work she's put into this thing. Organising chefs, organising dinners, organising the yacht that we're going on, organising speakers. Holy shit, I couldn't have done all of this. I've got other shit I need to focus on. I need to spend my time in my zone of genius. I can't do that if I didn't have her. Because every time that you deviate from one task to another and you spend time on this low leverage shit, you're pulling your energy away from the one thing that's going to help you grow the business, which is your zone of genius. What are you really damn good at that nobody else can do as well as you? And what do you really enjoy doing to the point where you can sit and do it and time just flies? You're just like, holy shit, 2 hours just went by? I had no idea. That's where you should be spending your time. So hire a personal assistant. And that ties into doing consistent time audits. Religiously audit your time every month and delegate, eliminate, and automate anything below your cost per hour. Spend your time in your zone of genius because that's where the most growth lies. Your zone of genius, I believe it falls under 3 buckets. And I got this from the book from Dan Martell on Buy Back Your Time. Something you're good at, something you enjoy doing, and something that can make you a lot of money. You want something in between those 3 circles. If you get that, you have the key to life, my friend, because you can do it forever and you'll be fine. You love it and it can make you a shit ton of money, okay? For me, that is building systems, selling, marketing, business in general. I fucking love it. You can probably tell by these videos. And I can sit there and work on building out a Miro board for 10 hours in a day and I'd be good. Like, just to give you an example of this, I'm currently building out a module in License and Scale, which is our entire acquisition system, how we're using organic in the agency as well to fuel the paid, and then every single nurture sequence that we have. And I've been breaking all this down. This Miro board took me like 6 hours to build out, but time just flew. I did this all yesterday, and I'm going to continue to work on it today, all because I've delegated everything, eliminated and automated anything outside of my zone of genius. And the way that I do this is by doing a weekly time audit like so, where I list out everything I'm doing, assign $1 per hour to it, and then delegate, eliminate, or automate the things that I don't need and want in my life. Quick fire on the rest of them. Hire the right CSM. If you're managing clients and you do a done for you or a done with you model where they have a one-on-one account manager, hire the right person. You don't want to have to replace this position. It's sticky, it's tough, it sets you back a lot. Make the right hire. Do not skimp on this position. It's easy to replace a media buyer, a VA, to be frank with you, a sales rep, a setter, because they're not client facing. CSMs, like there's 2 reasons why clients stay with you. Results from relationship. The relationship piece falls on the client success manager, the person they speak to every day, day to day, and on check-in calls. If you let go of that person, a lot of the time the client is going to leave with it, unless you have a really good replacement protocol in place. That being said, hire the right person. Treat them well. Take exit calls with every client. This falls under the bucket of obsessing over the product. Gather feedback from the most pissed off and honest person there is, the client who no longer wants to pay from you. People avoid these situations and these conversations. One of the things that I did really well in my agency was every time a client churned, I would personally jump on a call with that person and gather feedback. What didn't you like? What did you like? What can we improve? And you know what the cool thing is? If you then take their feedback and improve, you'll find that a lot of those clients, when you reach back out to them and tell them you've solved the problem, they'll come back in. We reactivate 10% of our churn clients every single month with that process, okay? We just simply listen to the feedback our clients give us, and our clients love it. Okay, setters are an investment. A setter is basically somebody that can call your leads B2B when you start running ads, when you're doing outbound, whatever that may be. Once you're getting around 3 to 5 leads a day, minimum, immediately hire a setter. This is the highest ROI investment that you can make. I'm not saying that you need to delegate sales right away, but just get somebody that can call the leads that do not book an appointment. If your lead to booking percentage, meaning the percentage of leads that opt in on an ad that book is sub 75%, get a setter, because even if you get a 10, 20, 30% lift, on the front end of, oh, we're now getting 10, 20, 30% more of our leads at a booking. If you just close 1 additional person a month, you make an ROI on a setter. Because if my setter costs me $3K a month and I sign a client that pays me $2K that month but has $10K in LTV, huge ROI. 9, SOP everything. Build everything in the agency through a lens of, if I was hospitalized and couldn't explain anything to anybody, a random person could walk into my business and run my business by watching my SOPs. This has been so key, and I'm so grateful that I did this, because now we can hire somebody, run them through a boot camp, give them the SOPs, and I barely need to answer any questions, because they already have the answers to everything. Everything is so systematized and productized to the point where I can literally just plug and play somebody into the business, give them it, and they're good to go. And another thing is visualize everything too. The way that we make SOPs is you make a Miro board visualizing the process, we have a document going over the steps, and we have a Loom video breaking it down. Not only does this serve us with new team members, so they have everything, it also serves us with AI, because when I'm using AI to build out a system, build out a process, I can give AI the Miro board to show it the visual process, and it will make things a lot easier. And the final thing I'll leave you off on is put profit first. You're not solving starvation. The business is simply for cash. Stack the cash, fuck everything else but profit, and audit your finances every single week down to every single expense. The thing is with an agency is chances are you're probably doing it to make your first 7 figures online. For me, my rule of thumb and my goal was I want to stack 7 figures in cash before I decide to do anything else. And that's exactly what I did. I got 7 figures stocked up. And then at that point, I was like, okay, I've now got the money to do whatever I want to do and live a life that I want to live. And then I started building License and Scale, which is the thing that I actually wanted to do. Focus on profit. Put profit first. Audit your expenses every single week. That's pretty much everything. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye.